Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on integrating your SCADA system with the rest of your infrastructure. Today we will explore how to integrate SCADA systems with various technologies commonly found in industrial environments, and the key benefits these integrations bring. We'll focus on practical live demonstrations, including integrating a SCADA system, in this case, of course, our system, atvise SCADA, with SQL databases, connection with real-time CCTV surveillance systems, and also a second block about deploying this SCADA system in Docker technology, an ideal solution for environments requiring portability, flexibility, speed, and scalability. I am Ivone Hernandez, your host and speaker in this session, joined by my colleagues Isaac de la Calle and Paola Melo, who will join later. We want this session to be as interactive as possible, so please use the chat available for your questions at any time. And at the end of the webinar, we will answer these questions. Also, my colleagues in the chat will be answering. This is the agenda. Brief introduction for those who still don't know who we are and what atvise is. And then we will go directly to the three practical examples, live demonstrations. Integration with SQL databases, with IP cameras, and deployment in Docker containers. Okay, so let's go ahead with the introduction. We are Vester Business. We are a company experts in connectivity and data exploitation software solutions for industrial automation. We are distributors of software. One of them is atvise. We are official distributors of the atvise software. atvise is a pure web SCADA system developed by the company Bachmann Bisutech. They are an Austrian company, and they count with distributors like Vester all over the world. We are placed in Barcelona, also in France, in Barcelona, Spain, Montpellier, France, and also we have a brand in Costa Rica and Miami for American market. So going directly to what atvise is an industrial software platform developed in pure web technology and OPC UA. Look at this. This doesn't say based in web technology. It says developed. That's very important. This I don't want to spend so much time in explaining what atvise is. So for those who still don't know the software, I kindly request you to use the links that my colleagues are going to type in the chat section, so you can book a meeting with us, so we can present you atvise in details, in deep details, also, of course, tailored to your needs and your projects. But this is important. The atvise software exists in 2005, and it was developed using these open standards, modern and open standards. That's the only future that we think. All right, so flexibility and freedom given by the open standards are key since 2005. Then one of those pillars is the pure web technology for visualization and control from any device, responsive design, and so on. Also, the OPC UA is the second pillar for all the internal communications inside atvise and also with the rest of the infrastructure. Then it has a simple licensing model, very simple. You may only choose between 4 and 5 type of licenses with 3 or 4 complements, nothing else, nothing complex, always with unlimited tags and clients. All right. This licensing model does not affect the power of the SCADA system. All features are always included. So even if you have a very small project or very big project, you will always have all the features that normally are used in SCADA projects: historization, alarms, reporting, scripting, and so on. Also, atvise is the first hot standby redundant SCADA system in pure web technology. And this is real hot standby. There is no data loss during server switch, and there is no visualization and control loss in server switch. The software is multi-platform. It works on Windows or Linux. Actually, today's webinar is an example of this. We are, for the last part, the Docker part, we are working with Linux. And we offer, as Vester, as distributors, we offer a library above the software for industrial data analysis. This is a cool, let's call it product that we have created for industrial data analysis and graphic dashboards for that, for energy savings, for maximizing productivity, and so on. We have OEE charts, etc. So that's part of our work as distributors. And also, for those who still don't know the software, you may know that it's totally object-oriented and it allows online engineering. We will have a look at this at the end too. So please use the links in the chat if you want to know more about atvise, about one of these features, or solve any of your questions. So now let's go directly to the integrations, the topic of this webinar. This concept may work for any SCADA system, but of course we are using atvise. So imagine you have your SCADA system and it's part of a bigger system, an ecosystem. All right. So what other systems do you have in your company that may be integrated into atvise? So perhaps MQTT brokers. So MQTT is an industrial IoT protocol. This is the most used for this kind of integration. So data in the cloud and so on. So that's an option to integrate with the SCADA system. Also users providers such as the Active Directory from Microsoft. So that allows you to centralize the users of all your systems, and the SCADA system is one of them. So the users of the SCADA systems come from this external provider, users providers. Also REST servers and clients. You may want to get data from your SCADA, uh, requesting data to external systems using REST, or the other way around. Another system needs to request data to the API of atvise. So that's an option too. Also, delivering documents or files into SFTP servers. That's another kind of integration. Also parsing information available in text files. So those old machines that there is no digital or industrial protocol to communicate with it, and that machine can deliver a file, a live file in a directory, and the SCADA systems needs to parse that file. So that's also an option. Of course, PLCs, all right? SMTP servers to send emails with alarms, with reports, or whatever. Also, OPC UA servers and clients. That's we have talked about this before. We also need to integrate with industrial historians, those who manage huge amounts of data. You may want to create some charts with data coming from there in your SCADA system. And also IP cameras and SQL databases. These two integrations are the ones that we are going to explore today. So let's go with the first one, integration with SQL databases. What does this integration offer to your infrastructure? So mainly three groups of possible applications. The architecture is simple. You just connect the SCADA system to the SQL databases using some standard driver. In our case, we are using the ODBC driver coming in the most of the SQL databases. And these three groups of applications are, the first one is to insert data into the database. So you can use that, for example, to use the SQL database as the historian. So any time that a tag value changes, that's an event that registers the value into a new row each time, for example. Or another example would be to update existing tables. You may have some external applications requesting data from the SQL database, and you want that applications to work with real-time tags from field or from any other systems already integrated to the SCADA. You see the powerful of the integrations, right? So you may want that applications to work with real-time tags. So one option could be the SCADA requesting data from the PLCs, from the brokers, from the OPC servers, or even internal tags, internal nodes that are updating a real-time table. That's another group of applications. And the other one is to request data from the database and send the values to field, for example, to a machine to activate a recipe. That's an example. So inserting data, updating data, and querying data. All right, so these are the three applications. Now we are going to directly to the first example, the live demo about integrating atvise with SQL databases. In this case, we are using one of our developments. As Vester, again, we create libraries, we create material, or we create features above the atvise software, using atvise software, of course, to cover some kinds of needs that we found in our community. And one of them is to integrate seamlessly with SQL databases. So we have created this module that I'm going to show you. It's a set of displays and scripts that we are going to share with you to save you time when developing and designing SCADA applications. So this is my local client of my atvise. I have an atvise installed in my machine. And this is a local client, web client. And this is the first display. The first display gives you or shows you the possible databases already available in the system. All right. So if I go, this as said is ODBC. So if I go to the ODBC data sources in my operating system, these are exactly the system DCNs, exactly the same. So it gets the name and the driver and make it available for you to establish a connection, a stable connection. So let's do one of them. For example, MySQL, I add this connection, click on OK, and this connection is already set, and it's OK. Okay, in this case, the MySQL is being authenticated using the user and password available in the driver itself. In some cases, for example, SQL Server, that's not an option, and you need to authenticate here. In this case, I leave it blank and see that there is an error. And in case of Postgre, it's similar to MySQL. In the driver itself, in the ODBC, in the DCM, is set the user and password, so I can make the connection. As a second display, you have here a simple query builder, let's say that way. You select one of the connections, for example, the MySQL. The tables available for these connections are here. So you select another one, for example, this one, and you can select all the columns or some of them. All right. So let's create all the columns and then some where clause. I click on accept, and this is a universal table that only brings you the existing tables in the selected, the existing columns in the selected table. We have also an option to update some rows. So for example, this product 3, let's say webinar, and this 20, let's say 444, and we update this row. That makes an update to the database, and then we make a query again, and it's shown here. Very simple. If we change the table or even the connection, we see different data. So the table is already prepared to show any data from any database. This one is not available because there is a communication error, so I don't have an option to see the columns. Okay, so this is the first part of this module. My colleague Isaac, who is there, I hope, will show you the background of this, what is happening behind, and also will show you how to create these transactions, these tag-based or time-based transactions against databases. Isaac, are you there?
Yes. Hello, Ivone. I'm
Excellent.
here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Everything's okay?
I hear you. Let me stop sharing so you can share your screen.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for connecting. As my colleague Ivone told you, I'm showing you how to work with this library from the server side. Okay. I will briefly explain how to use it to connect atvise to external databases. That, as mentioned, it is a topic that comes up very frequently. And with this library that we have developed, everything will be simple because it is focused more on parameterization rather than scripting a lot. And in terms of functionality, it opens and keeps the connection to the database, so it makes the communication more efficient and optimized. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Is it okay? I will show you an example. We will show how to communicate with MySQL database that I have here. I have here my SQL engine installed in this machine, and alongside with the library, with this with our database library, we will provide you with some database setup scripts so you can create the appropriate database tables for the queries that are included in the library. Okay, example, we have included some example queries that you can use in your projects, and they will serve as a basis for your projects and giving you a starting point that you can obviously then adapt or modify according to your needs or whatever. Okay, we can open from here the MySQL setup script. Okay, we can open from here. I have it in my desktop, and we can just run from here. And with this script, then we have the database already created. We created a database, and if we have a look at the tables we have included here, for example, we have included different kind of tables to save the data in the database in different ways. And if we look at, for example, the first one, the first table, we can store here our variables, our objects from atvise with the name, the value, the status, and the timestamp. Okay, these are the columns of these tables. Okay, of this example table. I will show you more than one. And the communication with the database, as my colleague Yvonne mentioned, is done through ODBC. Okay, I will show you. I have my DCN. Let me open and show you. I have my the MySQL driver, the MySQL connector installed in my computer. I have configured here the DCN, the data source name. We can test the connection from here to check if everything is okay. Okay, we can test from here. The connection is okay. So we have the database engine installed, the database set up with the setup scripts, and the DCN connection in my computer already connected. Okay. And once we have done this, we can open the atvise builder, and I will show you how to work from here, from the builder, with the database module. Okay, with this database library, we can import it in an empty project. I will show you this project. I have everything is empty. I only have this data source, okay, for testing, and just a couple of variables here that are receiving data from my OPC UA server, a test OPC UA server that I have here in my computer. Okay, and with this is a clean project, and to start working from the server side, from the builder, we have to import the library, okay, in the builder. And what my colleague Yvonne show you is the client side part. Okay, these displays and tools make part of the job, but from the server side we can import the library and start making our queries from here, from the builder. Okay, I import the library from here, from the menu builder. I click here, import, and I select, I have it here in my desktop. I select the library and I import it. And when I import the library, as you can see, it appears an object type here that it is called database connection. And we can then call this object type. We can make an instance of this object type. And if we have more than one connection to the different databases, we have we will have several instances of this object type. Okay, I will make an instance of this object type, like here. I click here, I select object, and I select database connection. Okay, my object type. As that is MySQL database, I will call it MySQL. I give it this name. I make an instance of my database connection object type, and as you can see, it includes a display for connecting. This is a display for connecting to the library, to see the status, to see some working parameters. It includes a control folder like here with some internal scripts for its working, some parameters, and it also includes a folder with some example queries and control queries in both directions, in atvise to database direction and database to atvise direction. Okay, so the communication can be done through these example queries to as Ivone told you, to make inserts or updates or select data from the database and bring it to atvise. Okay. The first step to configure the connection is give it a name. We have a parameter called name here, and as it is a MySQL connection, I will set here MySQL. Okay, this is an internal parameter that the connection, the library, that database library uses internally for its working. It must be unique. Okay, and the second most important parameter is the connection string. Is this one? The connection string is the information that the library uses to connect to the database. Okay, and as a reference, you can follow this. Can you see the web browser? Yeah. You can follow this website that includes information about different types of databases and how to build this connection string with different parameters that we can have. Okay. In the case of MySQL, we only need the name of the DSN. I have it here, as I showed you before. I have it here. I have my SQL connector installed here, and this is the DCN that I gave it. And I can just copy here. Okay, I set here my DCN name, and finally we just activate the working scripts from here. We click here, we save some internal scripts that the library uses to work for monitoring, for the startup, for the connection. And once we have we have done this, we can start using our library, our database connection in our project. Okay. If we come here to the main display and we drag and drop the display of the database connection, I can test from here. Let me show you now the web browser. I come here, and we can see the display for connection to the database. And if we click here, we can enable it, and as we can see, the status is okay. Okay, so now we have connected atvise to the database correctly. And if we come here, we come back to the MySQL workbench. We can check that the connection is established from here. We click here, client connections, and as you can see, here is my connection. This is the IP address of my host where atvise is running with the library. Okay, and now that we have everything done like this for the connection, once we have the communication configured and established, we can begin to test and make our queries. Okay, if we come back to the builder, let me close all these. We can start making queries with the example scripts included to make inserts or selects in our database or update data in our database. Okay, in this example, I will show you how to insert data in this table that I show you with the name, the value, and the status. And for this, we use this example query, this script. We can copy this query script in our objects. For example, this one, the first one. I copy the query script here, and we can parameterize it instead of writing all the scripting. Everything is included. As you can see, as a reference, you can see how the information is saved in the database here, and we parameterize here it's working. The first parameter is the object that we will be inserting in our database. Okay, we just drag and drop this object. then we can trigger this query script when there is a change of the node here, when there is a change on the status or something like this, or we can trigger the query through an interval. Okay, for example, is each 10 seconds, I will trigger this query and I will insert the data in our table. Okay, we have to tell the query script what connection we have to use. Like this, we drag and drop this connection because you can have several connections. Okay, you have to tell the query script what connection must be used, and you give it a name. Okay, for example, this I will say variable one. Okay, this is my variable one. Then you can set more parameters, the name of the columns or whatever. Or for example, we have a parameter here to decide if the timestamp that we insert in our database is the last timestamp of the object or the timestamp when the query script was executed, example, okay, and more parameters to debug and things like this, okay. And just with this, if we save here, each 10 seconds, we will receive new information of this object. As you can see here, this object is receiving data, and each 10 seconds, we will make an insert, a query insert in our database, okay? If we come back to my SQL engine and we refresh, you will see here that each 10 seconds, we are receiving new queries, okay? We can do it do the same with the other object that we have here. I will copy the same query script to the other object here. I will paste it here, and we can set the same from here. We select the node, the object that we want to save in the database. I will select here 5 seconds. Each 5 seconds, we will trigger the query. We select what database we are using, the database connection we are using, and this will be the variable 2. Okay. And we save. And if we come back to our table in the MySQL workbench, I will see here that we are start receiving also the variable number 2. Okay. Each 10 seconds, we receive the information about the variable 1, and each 5 seconds, we receive the variable 2, okay, with the data. We have included several tables to save the data in different ways, or to show you different queries, to show you how to read data from in different types. Okay, for example, I can show you this table. If we want to save the data like this in a value in 2 columns, okay, 2 objects by column. If we want to save the data like this, the value of the first variable here in this column and the second variable here, we can use this table, and we can use this query from here. It is this one, 2 objects by column. And as before, we can parameterize here. First, the trigger interval. We select here the trigger interval. I will put here also 5 seconds. And we select the same, the database connection that I'm using, and what is the first object, the first node that I'm saving the data, and the second node. Okay, these two and these two, just drag and drop to make your life easier, as always, trying to make your life easier. And we save the script, and now each 5 seconds, we will receive here in this other table the information about the 2 objects, okay, the value 1 and value 2. And if you need different types, if you have to adapt the query scripts for your needs, or using different type of functionalities, obviously everything is open. As always, you can adapt the name of the columns. You can adapt also your queries. The query scripts have the same structure always, apart for the data preparation, and then the query by itself. And you can obviously adapt according to your needs, modify or configure whatever you need. Okay. And this is more or less what we want to show you from the server side. Ivone, are you there?
Excellent.
I give you.
Thank you, Isaac.
I stop sharing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your example. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I hear you. I hear you.
Excellent. All right, guys, we will be back to this later. In a moment, let's continue with the session, but we will be back to this in a while. So, okay, perfect. Let's see again the diagram, because I have launched right now a pool, maybe depending on the version of the Teams that you have, you may receive it or not. But you have a pool there to where we ask you what other integrations would you like to see in future webinars. They can be one of these or various of these or any other integrations that you may have in your infrastructure and you would like us to show you how to be integrated with the SCADA system in future webinars. So please answer the poll. We will really appreciate it. Okay, let's jump to the second integration, which is the CCTV system, surveillance, IP cameras. What do we have to consider to integrate the IP cameras in our SCADA systems? Of course, again, with atvise. So we need to first identify the architectures, protocols, and formats of the available IP cameras in your infrastructure. Once you know these protocols and formats, you will be able to identify if the integration will be direct or if it requires some transcoding. We will show you some examples right now about these two kinds of IP cameras integrations with atvise, examples of direct integration and transcoded integration. So again, I don't allow Isaac to breathe. So if you are there, are you still there, Isaac?
Yeah,
No, he's not.
I'm still here. Yeah,
He
can you
is.
hear
Okay, so
me?
yeah. Yes, we hear
Yeah,
you. You
I'm
could
here.
breathe enough. So continue. I stop sharing.
Yeah,
Your
but
turn.
I
My
can.
turn is later. My turn is later
Yeah, just
when we present the Docker part.
yeah. Let me share the screen again. Give me one
Yeah, sure.
second. Second, let's go to the slide. Okay. Can you see the screen? I'm sharing the slide. Okay. Yes.
Yep, we see it.
Okay. Yeah. Regarding the this integration of atvise with CCTV systems or IP cameras, there are some questions. There are some considerations to keep in mind. Okay. There are a lot of manufacturers. There are a lot of models, technologies, protocols on the market. Some of them, some of the protocols are used in the capture, some of them in the broadcast or playback. Sometimes we found that it is involved in the system a DVR or NVR, a network video recorder, which may have a web server, or sometimes the manufacturer has a desktop management application, and from that application you can see all the cameras and access everything. Sometimes the IP camera by itself has a web server, and you can integrate directly to the IP camera. Sometimes also the manufacturer offers an online management platform, and you can visualize and control everything from there. There are multiple possibilities, architectures, models, and some of them obviously have advantages, disadvantages, and so on. But in general terms, we can assume that if we can access and view the system from a conventional web browser, then it is probably also possible to integrate the visualization from atvise. Okay, since as you already know, atvise uses pure web technology. So if we can view the camera from a web browser, we can probably integrate and embed it and embed everything in atvise. Okay. So I'm gonna show you two examples how to integrate atvise when we are accessing directly to the IP camera. Okay, in this case, accessing directly to the IP cameras, there are two basic things. These are the two basic things that we have to know. Okay, normally most IP cameras on the market support these two protocols, MJPEG and RTCP. MJPEG is a video format that sends JPG pictures, images in sequence. It's not a real video, but it sends a stream of JPG pictures. Okay, and it is compatible with all web browsers and can be embedded directly into an iframe object in atvise. Okay, later I will show you an example. Okay, and RTCP, it is means a real-time streaming protocol, and it is also a very well-known protocol. for streaming video into real time from the camera. But in this case, when we are using RTCP, it is not displayed directly in the web browser. Instead, in this case, we use a software for transcodify the video from the camera. Okay, this transformation or transcodification allows the web browser to view the video, and I will show you an example on how to do this with the VLC media player. Okay, this is the software. This is the external application that acts as a streaming server. Okay, that transcodify the video from in RTCP format for something that can be integrated in the web browser. Okay. These two kind of integrations of IP cameras directly in atvise are simple. Usually what is most difficult is to find the URL, the information here in the manufacturer's documentation, or sometimes we have to search in internet forums or things like this. The URL has this format, the format of the URL with the IP address, the port, and the path of the stream video that we have to access. Okay, sometimes the manufacturers offer you high resolution or low resolution streams, and we have to know this information to integrate in atvise. Okay, I will show you an example here. Let me show you do you see the web browser now? I have here two IP cameras. These are two public IP cameras from the internet. Okay, that I have found. This is a beach, famous beach in Benicassim, here in Castellón in Spain. As you can see, this is the clock now. This is in real time. Okay, and this is Vilhelmina. It's a small village in Sweden. Okay, here we have a traffic camera. These are public URL IP cameras that I have found, and we can integrate it in atvise. From the builder, I will show you. Give me 1 second. I will show you here from the builder how to. Sorry, that I've opened it here in the other window. From the builder, this is very easy to integrate. If we come here to our display IP cameras, as you can see, we have two objects, and these two objects include an iframe. Okay, and the source of this iframe, as you can see here, is just the URL with the IP, the port, and the path, the streaming path of the IP camera. Okay, this is the first one, and the second one is the same. Vilhelmina, this is the public URL of the IP camera. Okay, and as simple as this. Okay, as simple as this, and you can integrate the IP cameras here in the web browser. And the other example, let me come back to the PPTs. Okay, the other example of integration of RTCP protocol. I'm gonna show you this how to work because it's interesting because it uses some interesting functions that are called child process functions of atvise that allows atvise to run secondary process. Okay, in this case, is atvise the one that runs the VLC media player and start or stop the transcodifying the video camera. Whenever we want. Okay, when we start atvise, we give it the order to start the VLC and start this transcodification. Okay, we can pass some arguments and functions to the child process function. And as you can see here, from atvise, we start the VLC process. Obviously, we have installed it in our system. We start it, and we set here some parameters. This indicates that it has to be started minimized. We set up here the RTCP URL with obviously here I have here the IP address, the port, and my username and password, and so on, and the path of the streaming video here. And we give the VLC media player the parameters to try to make the transcodification. I want to use this codec MGPG. I want to use this scale, frames per second, and so on. And you have to translate me this RTCP flow for me in this format, okay? And I can access then from the web browser. I can access this URL to see my video, okay? I will show you a camera. This is an IP camera that we have in our office. Okay, in our Bester office, we have this IP camera. As you can see, the clock is real life. We are not lucky that no one's coming from the door in our office. Okay, and
They are working.
yeah, they are still working, not like us. And we can and we can show you how to make this from the builder. It is easy as before. We have an iframe object here, and we start and stop the VLC, the VLC media player, and the source we read. The source we read is the URL that is VLC serving us the streaming video. Okay, in this case is the VLC media player, the one that is acting as a streaming server. I wanted to show you this. Just give me 1 second. VLC. Okay, here you have the VLC media player, and when we stop the atvise server, okay, as you can see, atvise controls the VLC process and stops it. And when we start again the atvise server, it automatically starts the VLC media player with these child process functions. Okay. And that's all. That's all that we wanted to show you. These are the two kind of integrations that we can perform quite easy, and we have examples that we can share with you. Ivone, are you still there? I'm stopping
Excellent.
sharing.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Isaac, for showing
Or
the
welcome.
camera's integration. Let me see. You're not seeing my screen yet. Now you see, right?
Yes. Now we see it
Excellent.
again.
Okay, let's go ahead. Again, we will be back to this in a moment. So, but for now, let's jump to the next section, which is the deployment using Docker containers. So, for those who still don't know what this is for, let me give you a brief introduction about what Docker technology is, why is it used, and then I'm going to create a live example using atvise, deploying an atvise instance using Docker containers. And at the end, I will share with you the benefits, the real benefits of working with this technology. So let's go ahead. Docker container. Docker technology is an open containerization technology that enables applications to run in isolated environments. Imagine, for example, you are going to deploy an SCADA system. What do you need? You need an operating system. You need to install the software. You need to, perhaps, depending on the SCADA software, you may need to install libraries, specific libraries. You may want, if you are using atvise, you may want to create a report template and locate it in the project file, in the project directory. You may also need some SQL database if you want to create these applications we saw before. So it's a set of software, pieces of software, operating system, and so on that you need to set up. So what Docker offers? Docker technology offers you to create an image of all that you need to deploy the SCADA system. You create an image, and then you go to your host machine where you want to deploy your SCADA system, and simply run a Docker based on that image. Okay, this is more or less the theory, very slight. But yes, you go to your server machine, your cloud virtual machine, your any machine that you want, and you run the Docker based on your image, and that's all. Okay, so that container, that Docker container, is isolated from the rest of the environment of that machine, of the host machine. And I will show you that in an example, in a simple example. A few advantages before getting into the example is that this container is totally independent, and it's also portable. You can move the container to another machine, or even create a new container based on the image, and it still works. All right. So it has this advantage above, for example, virtual machines. So let's go to the live example using atvise, deploying atvise in Docker containers. So these are the basic steps. Verify. The first one is you go to your host machine, you verify that Docker is installed, and after that you import the Docker image and then run the container, all right, based on that image. And that's all. If you already have your project running in the image, that will work. But if not, you just need to activate the license and and that's all. You can open the builder and start developing your project directly against the container. If you don't do it that way, which is my case, I haven't, the image that I'm going to use is an empty project. There is nothing. So I will create a container which will be empty. So then after activating a license, we will see a blank project, and then I will move the demo project, the online demo project, inside the container. So that way I can show you a few commands that you can use. Okay, so these are the steps. Let's jump to the live demo. Okay, I'm going to go to my host machine. In my case, I'm going to use an Ubuntu server, this one, with a graphic environment. I have already launched the terminal, and I am using this directory to run my SCADA system. Right now it's an empty directory, as you can see here. So the first command is to pull the image. I have created an image in the Docker Hub. I will show you what Docker Hub is. Docker Hub is an online repository of images. It's public. So if you type advice here, you may see some Dockers from the community, and the one that I'm going to use is this one, advice Ubuntu 20.04. Here you have the command. You can use it freely. This image has an Ubuntu server 20.04 and advice 3.11 already installed, and that's an empty installation. It does not have any license and it does not have any project. So let's go ahead. So I pull that image. Here I have the command. I paste it and authentication, and that's it. You have a command. There is a command available to see which images are available in the operating system. So that command is Docker images directly. All right. So that shows you the available images in your Docker. In my case, I already see this one, which was created 6 weeks ago. Second step is to run the container, okay, based on that image. That's this command. This command is available in the documentation of the Docker in advice. I'm, I want to explain you a few of the parameters of this command. The command is container run, right? And then you have to include some parameters, okay? All of them are explained in the documentation. Let me stop in this one. The name of the container will be advice container 04 in my case. The volume is a directory that will be created in the first argument. In my case, in this folder, in the advice Docker folder, I'm going to create a new folder called container, and that will be mapped with this path inside the container. So whatever I put in the container folder in the host will be delivered, let's say that way, to this path of inside the container. All right. So that in my case, this path is the project path. All right. Then you have the publish, which maps the ports. So advice default HTTP port is the 80. I'm setting up advice inside a container, but I want to access from the host or from outside the host. So this is the ports mapping. If I access the 8080 from outside the container, it understands that is the port number 80 inside the container. The same with HTTPS, the same with the OPC UA port. And this command is the image that I'm going to use. And this last command, this last parameter, is to make this project path available outside the container in the container path. So let's type enter here, and this is already created. This is the ID of the container, and in a few seconds that will be created. That's all. Perfect. Let's watch what is inside. Inside we have, as you can see, the container. Let's move there. And here, as you can see, there is a hardware code. Remember that atvise doesn't work without a license. So you need to activate a license based on the hardware code. So the hardware code is set by container. Let me jump back. And now I'm going to create a license. There is a tool in atvise which is called AutoLeak that allows you to automate this licensing process. So you don't need to do, if you configure this tool, this AutoLeak, you don't need to do what I'm going to do right now, that is creating a license for this container. So let me do that manually, but remember you have the option to make it automatically. I open the SCP to be able to move files. I am already connected to the Ubuntu here. You can see. Let me refresh the directory. I have the container, and here I have the hardware code. Okay, so I double click and I copy this hardware code to create the license just in a moment. Here it is. That license is right here. So let me create a license for the webinar. Remembering that this is not necessary if you are using the auto leak tool. If you want to test this feature, the Docker, sorry, I have some mistake in the licensing portal. Okay, that's generated. As said, remember that if you want to test this feature, the container, if you want to deploy atvise in Dockers, you have to say that you are going to use, I mean, you have to request a specific license for Dockers. All right. So it requires a specific license, not a regular 30 days license. Here is my license. So I move it into the Ubuntu machine. I can't move it from outside to inside, I mean, from the Windows machine to inside the container. So I place it here in the atvise Docker path. I go back to Ubuntu and move it, and then I move it inside the container to the specific directory that atvise needs. And it's with this command. The command is container cp, the path where the file is, and the name of the container, and the path inside the container where the file you want to be. So in case of atvise license, it should be this path. Again, this process can be automatic. Okay, that's all. I don't have to do anything else to deploy atvise in Docker. Let me run the container with the command docker container start and the name of the container, and that's all. The container is already running. So let me open a local web client here. It's a bit slow, the machine. Or anyway, we can go to the outside. Let me launch the client from the outside. This is the IP of the host, and this is the mapped port. I can type this. Have some mistake. Something is happening here. This machine has stopped. What happens? Do you see my screen? I'm having some problems. Connectivity. Isaac, do you see me?
Yeah, we see the screen. Yeah.
Okay, let me see what's happening here. Okay, yeah, right now this one is responding, so it may have some latency only. Yeah, now it's running. It took some extra seconds. Okay, right now is the web service answering, is responding, so that's correct. Now I want to move a project inside because this is an empty project. So to do that, I have to stop the container with the command container stop and the name of the container. And then with the same command that I used to move the license, I'm going to move a project. The project, I already have one project in the same Ubuntu machine. In the downloads folder, I have a nodes.db. This is for those who still don't know atvise, the nodes.db is a general file where all the configuration is of the project is. So I'm going to move that from the downloads to the atvise directory, project directory, and it's the same command as before with the license. So container CP, where the file is, and the container name, and where I want the file to be placed inside the container. I type enter, and I start again the container, and that should be all. Let's give it some seconds. It's moving a file. It's 230 megabytes, so it may take some seconds. But so far, this is quite slow. In the rehearsal of the webinar was very faster. But yeah, these are the steps. Okay, let me comment the advantages while this is moving and started, and let's have a look later at the result. So the advantages of the Docker, isolation, first of all, its application runs isolated independently on the rest of the elements in the operating system. It's consistent. The applications always run the same regarding the environment. This is important, the easy updates. Traditionally, updating a SCADA system or one of the pieces that depends on the SCADA and the other way around, one of the libraries that you need to update that affects the rest of the infrastructure, that was a historical problem. With this, you avoid it. You don't have to worry because the container is totally independent. So easy updates, because if you update something inside the container, it doesn't affect outside and the other way. And then this has been measured, and the containers are always lighter than virtual machines. So that optimizes the performance. Let me jump here again. Okay, this was already copied. Let me start it again just to show you the result of this online demo for those who still don't know about atvise. Let me go back to the client. Okay, so in some seconds where the server starts, you will see the application. It may take some seconds. Yeah. Here the same happens. Not yet. It's taking a while. In the rehearsal was faster. Maybe the connection against through the Teams is a bit slower. There we go. Here is the online demo. All right. So this is a real project. Well, real. It's a simulation project that we use for demos. If you want to see this demo project, not this one, because this one is only available in my machine, but the public one is demo.atvise.com. Right. So if you want to have a look there, that would be nice. And here it should be, because I have access from outside. There we go. Okay, so that's all from my side regarding deploying atvise inside Dockers. Think about that. This portable, isolated, consistent way of deploying a SCADA system. All right, next steps, just to finish the webinar, because we took 2 minutes above the scheduled time. We want to share all these resources with you, okay? So the atvise integration with SQL databases, we will provide you the module that we have created, the developments, also documentation, so you can use it, our technical support, and video trainings. Regarding the IP cameras integration, we will deliver you the project where those public cameras are. Of course, the screen with our office camera will not be part of that. I'm really sorry. And our technical support. And regarding the deployment in Docker, we will provide you the documentation. This Docker image that you saw, it's empty. It's already available for you. Trial licenses if you need, and our support. And that's totally free for our partners. Okay, we as Bester Business, official distributors of atvise, we have a partners network, international partner networks, and these resources are totally free for you. If you are not a partner yet and you are a system integration company, my colleague Paola will tell you something real quick. Paola, are you there?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Bonnie. Ivone, I am Paola, Partner Manager of Business Business. Today I want to tell you why our partner program can make a difference in your business. The first thing is visibility. As an official partner, your company is featured on our websites, Binote, Advice, and the Bachman Visutech website. We also give you the official logos and certificates for your proposals and websites. This not only gives you prestige, it also increases your credibility with potential customers. Then there's the stand. We give you access to specialized technical and commercial training completely free of charge, with certification included. In addition, you have the annual advice development license, ideal for your projects, and something that our partners value a lot, access to our partners' communication site, which is a SharePoint, with a lot of documentation, access to our WhatsApp community, and access to periodic short sessions that we call Investor Community Sessions to solve technical doubts and share sales strategies. And the best part, we help you grow. We include you in our marketing campaigns, look for business opportunities with you, and give you personalized demos for your customers. We even define together a commercial, technical, and marketing action plan so that you have real support and not just words. This program costs only 950 euros per year, and you easily recoup it with one or two closed opportunities. So if you want to take your solutions to the next level and differentiate yourself, this is the time to do it. I invite you to be part of our Better Business Integrator Network. Count on me to get started today. If you want more information about this partnership program, please visit the link that Ivone is sharing in the chat. And thank you all very much.
Thank you, Paula, for your message. Yeah, I advise you to have a look at that. And if you are an end user, you are not a system integrator who already is partner or who is going to be partner, these resources are also available for you. So please book a meeting with us, with your your account manager, or use the links that Paula will share again with you in the chat. Let's book a session together and let's talk about it. All right. So that these resources are also available for you. Okay. So here the webinar ends. I have some questions in the chat, in the private part of the chat. In the public, I think only we have one about Omar requesting the recording the webinar. This webinar is being recorded. Don't worry, guys. That will be shared with you during this week. Is that question number one? Which databases are supported in this databases module or libraries?
Yes, MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, and SQL Server for the moment. We are working in more, but for the moment, those.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, any ODBC database is potentially adapted to this model. Yeah. Exactly, integrated. Okay, question number two. How can I determine if my IP camera can be integrated with atvise? I think you already said that, but you can say it again.
Yes, more or less in general, if the system or the camera can be viewed somehow using a conventional web browser, then it could be embedded or integrated into atvise, particularly if the documentation indicates that it supports MJPG or RTCP, these two protocols that we talk about. Then we have these integration examples that we can share with you.
Okay, thank you so much. And the last question, that's for me, regarding Docker container. Is Docker the only supported option? Actually, the answer is currently the officially supported environments are Docker and Podman on Linux. All right, so you can use Docker or Podman. The commands are similar, and the operating system for now is the supported is Linux. If you have something outside that, let's talk about it. Let's see the options. But officially, Docker and Podman on Linux. Guys, thank you so much. The webinar ends here. I hope you really have it, you see it useful for you and helpful. Here you have our generic contact information. And that's all. See you in the next webinar. Thank you so much and have a good day.